Hey guys, good morning. It's Tony. Before I start the video, I do want to say please like, subscribe, and comment. If you want to join the Patreon, you can join at patreon.com/, but I'm not a trader, to learn how I trade, and how other people, trade, and how they seeing massive gains, whatever. There's a new series that I'm basically going to start, where I'm looking at, the monthly charts and what we kind of expect, or what I kind of expect for the month of, for the month of that we're starting, essentially, right? So what we're going to be looking for are, current trends, what the market's doing, what we should be looking at, what we shouldn't be looking at, right? What we did the months prior. So right now, right, the 1st of February, so we're going to look at, what direction we think we're going to go. So for all of, essentially all of January, you just essentially just went, not straight up, but you just went up, right? You opened at, 474, you're closing at 484, a $10 push, right? December, 456 to 476, a $20 push. And then in November, 420 to, 456, which was a $36. Immediately, what you can see is that we're starting to, our candles are starting to get a little bit weaker, right? So you started initially with a 420 you started with the $36 push in December. And then from in January, you went from 455 to 477, like a $20 push. And now you only had a $10 push, right? So you're starting to get a little bit weaker. You're starting to see that in the market. You generally don't see that again in bear months, because you usually just have the straight, flushes and flushes, right? But when you start seeing weaker candles, right, you kind of get an idea of what is happening, right? So if we come back to like and that C word that I don't want to say, right? You started with that initial pump, got a little bit weaker, and that was an indication that eventually you were going to start coming back down, right? So as of right now, I'm not expecting, we're obviously still in a bull market, right? I mean, let's not, get away from ourselves or say anything else of what it is. But this is still very much a bull market, right? You've essentially been going up since October of 2022, right? So you've been just going straight up for almost like a year and a half now, right? And can we run this like this? I don't know if I would want to run it, this is probably a better trend, just because you didn't actually, completely close under this, right? If you would have closed the candle like under here, you would have probably gone back to like a 387. But as of right now, you are starting to get weaker candles, right? On the upper side. So I definitely wouldn't expect a full push to something like that, like for the month of February, but maybe something similar, right? Maybe you come back up to like a 492 and then you come right back down to this trend here, because you are starting to slow down. If we look at the weekly, right? The weekly definitely has here. The weekly, we can probably move this trend down a little bit like that. No, yeah, this is probably the better way to go about it, I think. Just because we are technically in still bull market. And then, yeah, I do this. This is what I feel more comfortable with, right? Like that. That makes more sense. And you are starting to see these a little bit more frequent candles coming down, right? So for the weekly, you haven't really closed a bear candle too much since October of last year. It's been essentially just a straight shot up, right? And what's really funny, right, what's really indicative of what's going on right now is usually when you start getting these pushes towards the upsides. And here, I'll show you guys exactly what I mean. So generally in bull markets, right, what you want to see is the weekly have a lower low, and then you break out, what is it called? Then you break out on the bull side. So I'll kind of explain to you guys the candles here, right? Here we go. So we're in a bull market, right? Essentially, this is a bull market from March 2023 all the way up towards July, right? So this is basically a very strong bull trend, right? When you start looking for candles like this, right? This is what you're looking for a reversal. Is you essentially look for in a bear market, right? You look for a bear candle, a bullish candle close under, right? To create a new low, right? As opposed to this one. And then you see that reversal pop, right? Whereas in a bull market, you're looking for the opposite. You're looking for a new high, right? You're looking for a new high on that bear market, and you're looking to close under the open of the bull candle, right? So I know that might be a little bit confusing, but this is a huge sign of continuation to the downside, right? And you can see that again right here, right? You have a huge push to the ups. You have a new high on this bear candle. You closed under the open of this bull candle, and then guess what? The week after, you dropped, right? So especially in a bull market or in a bull trend. So as of right now, I can definitely see February continuing this push to the low side. I can see February having us come down all the way down to 470, right? So you had a very strong range here, right? So let's do this. You had a very nice range here on from 469 to like this. I'd say like this range here, like right there. Would this make sense? Or would this make sense? Let's do that. What about, let's get our daily. So let's look at our ranges here. I want to make sure we have this range done correctly. So where did we range a whole bunch? Yeah, I'd probably call range somewhere around here. No, our range was definitely lower. Our range was more, you can definitely just kind of tell with the range here. This is what I hate, when the SPY kind of this be true range right here? No, it has to be up here. I'm trying to see what's going to be the better range for us to like, yeah, that would be our better range right there. So do you have a range right now on the SPY being somewhere between our previous range between 478 and like a 470, right? So for this month, right, of February, we can definitely see that we're already starting on the bear side. You know, we're going to be closing the very first week, the very first like 2 days of February on the low side, like I said right here. Just this candle alone right here, this candle pattern, right? When you have that that high made, right? And then you're closing under the previous open of that bull candle, this immediately, I would say next week, we're going to go right back down. And if we're going to go somewhere, I'm probably thinking that I'm looking for 479, 478-ish, right, next week. So definitely starting the month out very bearish. And again, keep in mind, you still have a bear cycle on the weekly, and this doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to drop all the way back down to 470, but you're still in a bear bias according to these triggers, right? Still in a bear bias. So yes, you pushed all the way up, but again, anything like this, right? You're looking for any kind of sign that you would, look for more of a downside. So I can definitely see us retracing maybe to like a 487 before dropping again. But again, just on this candle alone, I could definitely tell that we're probably gonna keep going down towards like a 478. 474 is what I think is gonna happen. Maybe within the first week or two of February, but ultimately, I do think that you'll probably, bounce and then maybe come back up to like this high of 488. So overall, for the month of February, I do think we'll probably come back down for like another week or two, right? And then eventually just pop right back up, right? But if you start breaking lows, like if you break this low here of 468, right? Then your next stop here is probably going to be somewhere like a 458, so like another $10 drop. And then February can just end up being a full red month. Right, that's basically what can happen. You're also closing a 2 week. You're probably going to be closing a perfect, maybe a perfect entry on the 2 week, right? And 2 weeks are generally correlated with really strong sell-offs, right? So the initial close of a 2 week, right? During like a bull market. So you have a really huge correlation with like market crashes with those 2 weeks, right? So 2 week crash, 2 week market crash, right? 2 week market crash. So those 2 weeks are correlated extremely well with these market crashes, or while you're on a 2 week cycle, right? So if you close a 2 week bear cycle next week, right, on Friday, you can definitely come back all the way down to 440. Now, I'm not going to say you are, but you're in that like now the possibility increases by like 100%, right? Because every single time we closed a 2 week bear, you've always had some sort of a huge retrace, right? It's always correlated with each other. So whenever you're in a 2 week bear cycle, right, on a 2 week trigger for my custom indicators, your odds of coming down extremely hard go up exponentially, right? So, right, perfect 2 week entry right here. What happened? You went from 460 all the way down to 411. You dropped $50, right? In the span of maybe like this is probably like 2 months. Like let me see, this from July to October, so July, August, September, like 4 months. In the span of 4 months, you dropped, right? And again, because you are on this trend, this next 2 week could take us all the way down to like a 440, which again would be pretty much in correlation with another $50 drop, right? So again, if that 2 week comes in, you have a huge chance for the next couple months just retracing about 50 points. But I think specifically for February, I think the market is gonna be, bear bias for the next week or two, and then probably recover somewhat the last 2 weeks of February. So I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.